everyone, this is Angela and welcome to my channel, Angie the ENT Jane. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so you'll know whenever I upload any new content. I have gained some new subscribers as a result of Keep Africa Passport Bros Free, and I really appreciate her for having me on last night. I appreciate you new subscribers, and always I'm thankful for everyone who's been here all along. I appreciate every single last one of you. So I decided to create this video to kind of bring everyone up to speed on some things that my long-term subscribers already know. You see, nearly 2 years ago, I did a video that was in response to Dr. Umar Johnson and his disapproval of Black women dating interracially. I pointed out that he was facing a watershed moment. I did a comparison of what he's going through to what life was like for the last emperor of China, whose name was Emperor Puyi, as a parallel example. Although the focus was on Dr. Umar Johnson, the wider perspective included the Black patriarchy and could also definitely be expanded to the patriarchy in general, the toxic version of it. So let's watch a snippet of the video and then I will be back. Black women divesting away from the Black community is a form of the harsh reality that is presenting itself to Umar. Also, with this occurrence, it begs the question, whose children will be at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy? Black women are moving away from the Black community due to their higher incomes and also through exogamy. Exogamy is a term that is used to describe whenever someone marries a person outside of their own culture. Naturally, wherever she goes, her children are going to go with her. The economic opportunities that occur when she is present are also leaving with her too, and this is a shock to him. Can you imagine being in the middle of a watershed moment and you don't realize it until it's too late? That is what Umar is facing right now. Okay, this type of shock and loss of purpose that Umar is experiencing is parallel and similar to what Emperor Puyi, that's P like Paul, U-Y-I, Emperor Puyi, who was the last emperor of the Qing dynasty in China, this is what he experienced before China became a communist state. Let's dive into a little bit of history here. Emperor Puyi was born privileged into a society that worshipped its leaders as gods for literally thousands of years before his birth. So to Puyi, similar to Umar, this type of treatment was normal and how things were supposed to be. To Puyi, who literally had servants that would blow their breath into his soup to cool it enough for him before he ate. Okay, it was inconceivable that the lowly people in the masses would want to live a better existence or even dare rise against him or his leadership. Okay, I'm back. So when the last emperor of China, Emperor Puyi, was born, the way life operated for him was considered to be normal because it existed like this for over 5,000 years. People bowing and kowtowing to him was a normal thing. Boys and men who had their reproductive organs departed from their bodies so that they can work close to him and his wives and concubines, that was normal for him. Families competing to provide their daughters as a wife or a concubine to his court, all of this was considered to be normal. And being worshipped not only as a ruler of the empire, but as a living god on earth was also normal for him. And Emperor Puyi was openly bisexual and known to have relations with some of his eunuchs. And a bit of disclaimer, this is a safe space, so I'm only pointing out the emperor's sexuality as a historical fact, not as a way to demonize bisexuality. So, okay. So going back to the history, no different than the last emperor of China, the last eunuch of China was named Sun Yao-ting, and he lived until 1996. at the time when he was born, it was normal for boys to become eunuchs and work for the emperor. This was normal for him when he was born as well. Emperor Puyi, Sung Yao-ting's parents, and possibly Sung Yao-ting himself never conceived of the day that the empire would end and that the masses would reject the customs that governed their lives for literally thousands of years, multiple millennia. We see similarities with toxic patriarchy as far as the people who never conceived of the times we are currently living in. Going back to the last Chinese emperor, when World War One broke out, the Chinese Empire ceased to exist. Down with the Chinese Empire went the Ottoman Empire as well. And you see similarities with how things went for them. They had eunuchs, they had people that had been on the throne, different dynasties, and so on and so forth. And the people, until the day it happened, never conceived of a day that there will be an end to this all. World War II brought the end of the empire of Imperial Japan, along with the decline and the eventual end of the British Empire. Well, we're currently, from the way things are looking right now, on the verge of a possible World War III. And the 10,000-year long empire of patriarchy is cracking at its foundations globally. And there's currently an overpopulation of more than 70 million men on the planet due to femicide, female infanticide, and gender selective births. Meaning, if it was a boy, as far as gender selective birth was concerned, you can keep it. But if it was a girl, then you had to abort it. So all of these factors led us to where we are at this moment in time. Today is March 11th, 2024. So the collapse of this empire is imminent. And no different than the last emperor of China, and in a similar sense, no different than Dr. Umar Johnson, as well as men of today in general. These people were born into the empire of patriarchy. So they have been born into a system that has been around for at least 10,000 years. And this system has taught them that simply because they were born with XY chromosomes, it meant that they were to be regarded as the greatest, the smartest, the best at everything, especially as it relates to girls and women. It also led them to believe that by the time they reach sexual maturity, grow a beard, grow a little chest hair, there will be a womb waiting for them no matter what. And also that they can be the emperor of that womb, meaning a woman, and the products of that womb, meaning their children. And all of those people will be the subjects of their mini empire. In other words, their family will kowtow and bow and serve them in every way. And for the sake of historical reference, this was the prevailing view before the fall of the ancient Roman, ancient Greek, ancient Ottoman, ancient Chinese, ancient Japanese empires, and so forth. And on top of it, men having relations with men were also not uncommon in all of those empires. And I'm just naming a handful of empires. There are quite a few more. So here we are in March of 2024, and currently there are more than 70 million more men and boys on the planet than there are girls and women. So this is a watershed moment for patriarchy because there are not enough wombs available for every man to subjugate, even in a monogamous partnership, let alone a polygamous one, in order to keep the empire going. It's like an engine that's run out of gas and the oil is needing to change, but there's no more oil left. Okay. And even though men having relations with men has been taken out of the closet in the recent times, we're in the 21st century. This is the first time that it is occurring without them having a guaranteed womb on standby. So this means that if bisexual men in particular want to have their own biological children and they are unable to find a woman who can be attracted to them, they will have to hire a surrogate, and that can cost into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is part of the motivation as to why some of them will hide in the closet. The funny thing about watershed moments is that the people who once benefited from the way things were before it shifted seem to be the last ones to realize that the change is permanent and things will no longer be as they once knew it. It's similar to Emperor Puyi, who went from being worshipped as a god on earth to being thrown in prison where his fellow inmates and formerly his lowly subjects actually took pity on him and had to be the ones to teach him basic things, such as how to brush his own teeth and how to tie his own shoes, because these were the types of things that were being done for him in his previous life as a god king, emperor, god on earth. Okay. Until he was removed from the throne, he could not have conceived of the thought that his subjects hated him and were the very ones to depose him. Now, there was friction before Emperor Puyi was deposed. Just a few years before he was born, there were the Boxer rebellions, and then afterwards, while he was a small boy, there was the Wu Chang uprising. On top of it all, technology advanced during that time as well. The car and the telephone were invented shortly before his own parents' birth. So there was a global paradigm shift towards industrialism. In a similar sense, patriarchy has dealt with a lot of movements centered around human rights, including women's rights. Additionally, technology has moved forward. So, for some people alive today, they were born before there was a such thing as cable television, before wireless telephones, and definitely before laptops or smartphones, and now artificial intelligence or AI. Matter of fact, a lot of them, the only thing that remotely looked like AI to them back then was Max Headroom.
This is Max Headroom. And what you're about to witness.
I'm back. So they did not conceive of the day that there will be social media, dating apps, and that real mating competition between men for women will begin to explode on a global stage, and it has led to some friction. Nor did they foresee the rise of the women's collective, education, wealth, and affluence, which is also leading to friction with them. This is why they are so quick to call me a feminist when they actually are using the term feminist to describe a misandrist. Whenever I point out that humanity should not have ever operated in a way where the masculine dominated everything, because doing so caused an irreversible imbalance so severe that it will take at least a few generations for the consequences of it all to begin to subside. So my message is not intended to convince someone who has swallowed the patriarchal pill to change, because I understand enough to know that if an adult lacks the ability to think critically, then there may be something else going on with them. Also, I understand too that their world, as they have known it, is coming to an abrupt end. And they are prone to seeing people who may even be trying to help them. They may be prone to seeing those people as an enemy and begin attacking them. I even have proof of 3 videos on my channel that are close to or even more than a year old that attempted to assist the characters that we often refer to as the Dusties, as well as confused young men who are not trying to be dusty in seeing the truth so that they can understand that the changes in life around them is simply just a return to how things naturally should have been all along, and that it's not a personal attack on them. Yet, more often than not, I got attacked even further. I even stated it more than a year ago in this video that patriarchy harms men and boys too. And let me go into now where I see a bigger issue at hand. So we have to remember, everyone, that toxic patriarchy has not just affected the feminine exclusively. Now, before I go any further, it definitely affected girls and women the most. And the issues that we face as a result of it are the most obvious. We have collectively faced child marriages, teen pregnancies, being trafficked, being victims of stealthing. Stealthing, for those who don't know what that is, it is a type of reproductive coercion that happens when the dude slips off the condom or pokes holes into it. And this has resulted into unwanted pregnancies. We've been victims of domestic violence, you name it, being unalived by intimate partners, and the list goes on. So the feminine is the obvious victim of toxic patriarchy, without a doubt. However, the devastating impact on boys and young men in particular is often not as noticeable, due in part because the automatic assumption is that toxic patriarchy benefits men exclusively. So I know that it's best to leave the ignorant to face their own ignorance. My content is for those who are into understanding the world around them more, but just can't seem to put two and two together on the issue. However, they are willing to accept the truth even when it's inconvenient. Ultimately, when our society, national and global alike, begins to operate with the citizen in mind the way that the Scandinavian nations have already done it, then I will feel that we can finally progress properly. You see, the passport bros, as much as I don't care about them and their ways in particular, they do have one valid point, and that is it should not be nearly impossible for the average citizen within a nation to date one another. Their movement, as contrary as many of them are as individuals, is a symptom of a bigger issue. For an example, we also have US citizens who have moved to Mexico and Costa Rica because they cannot afford to retire stateside. However, going back to the passport bros, because they support toxic patriarchy and they often participate in the stripping of the rights of their fellow human beings, especially women, thinking of it as a way to maintain their own privileges, when in fact, all they did was virtually shoot themselves in their own feet. Because of that, and because rather than hold themselves accountable for the failures of their ideologies, they choose to run away. They will never confront the entities that cause the issues that are now kicking them in the crotch. Issues that we over here as women, or in a broader sense, as marginalized people in general, have been facing without mercy the entire time. And what we've had to adapt to by gaining more education, gaining more influence, and so on and so forth. Instead, they take out their frustrations on the women who will not date them, as opposed to figuring things out, thinking more critically, and solving the issues that affect all of us, men, women, children, elderly, vulnerable, marginalized alike. They will not stand up for the rights of the least amongst us to have access to food, shelter, a basic income, free healthcare, and free education. What they would rather do is go into another man's land who may be facing similar problems and displace him from the local dating market by weaponizing the American dollar. This is part of the reason why they are being toe tagged in places like Colombia, because the locals are not stupid. They know who is coming to them with an oppressor's mindset. And just to be clear, I'm not over here advocating for the passport bros on any level. I am a strong believer in allowing the fools to have their own way. I'm happy that they are finding out the inconvenient truth in the harshest way, that women outside of the US are fundamentally no different than women within the US. What they did not accept is that the US is not like other nations on the planet in the sense of being a place where you can find a particular ethnicity, religion, and culture that's associated with that land, with the exception of the Native Americans. And I say that respectfully. What the US is socially is a patchwork of many ethnicities, many religions, many cultures, and so forth. This means that American culture is not only a product of the people who were born here, it's just as much of a product of the people who have migrated here from their homelands. If a woman hypothetically migrates here from Afghanistan and chooses not to wear a burqa, then I personally did not have anything to do with her choice to do that. She used her own willpower and determination that was born and raised in Afghanistan to decide to live her life on her own terms and to be free here in the US for those that have done that. And this is so true of many people. There are even men from places where they always have to defer to their oldest brother for major decisions. But when they got over here to the US, they decided to defy the tradition, choosing to be their own man and to live their life according to their own ideals. So, American women, including me, who were born and raised here as a product of many generations, along with women who are first time immigrants here as well, we're all included in the paradigm of the American woman. So, as far as Passport Bros is concerned, a person can either learn through wisdom or experience, and the Passport Bros chose experience. It's their human right. I'm not here to get in the way of their human right to choose. Okay. They want to get in the way of my human right to choose, but I'm not here getting in the way of their human right to choose. And that's why I love the channel, Keep Africa Passport Bros Free, so much, because primarily she shows her humanness and that of others, and she advocates against exploitation. So I tried to keep this video brief. So on that note, that's all I have to say for now. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so you'll know whenever I upload any new content. Take care until next time.